Item number 15 is consideration of authorizing the city manager to execute a special exclusive contract between the City of San Angelo and Republic Waste Services of Texas Limited in substantially the attached form, and an agreement for landfill lease and operation between the City of San Angelo and Republic Waste Services of Texas. This will be done by Operations Director Shane Kelton. And to lay a few of the ground rules here, this is not going to become a circus. It's not going to get out of hand. Everything is going to be done professionally. We will allow Shane Kelton to make a presentation. I will give the two principals of Republic and also of TDS 5 minutes to make your presentation, and then everyone else will be limited to 3 minutes. I will ask you when we come to comment that you line up, and I will very closely watch the timer. It will be set at 3 minutes. Be professional. I know this is a controversial item, but we're going to handle this like grown people. Shane, you're on, sir.
All right, thanks, Mayor, Council. For you this morning, we have for your consideration a contract and an agreement in substantially the attached form as was given to y'all. This is for basic solid waste services for the city. Council provided us some guidance before we got started as to kind of what council wanted to see in their solid waste services, and so we went forward with that, and we built a proposal. We published a proposal February 11th. We sent them out, got them back in. Republic Services proposal was ranked first. And with that, council authorized staff to negotiate with Republic Services based on that ranking. What things we're going to look at, contract terms and conditions we negotiated for, I told you there's two, so we had the solid waste collections, which will be a contract, and then an agreement with the landfill lease and operations. Topics of the negotiations included were the term and the length of the contract, services to be provided for residential and non-residential customers, rates for those services that are performed, and the performance requirements. As we go into the waste collection side, which is probably what the majority of the citizens see and know about, other than going to the landfill to dump off, they don't know a whole lot about the operations out there, but the waste collections is what the citizens really relate to. So we're going to start off with that. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of minutia into the contracts, but I really want to touch base on what we believe that the citizens will relate to and what council will relate to as we move forward on the major items of this. On the waste collection side, negotiated length of term for this special contract. The initial term is for 10 years. We will, at the end of 10 years, we will have the option to renew. First optional renewal term will be 8 years. If we want to renew again on the second optional renewal, it'll be for 2 years. These renewal terms basically will coincide with the expected life expectancy or the life expectancy of the landfill as it stands right now under our current permit. For residential services, this will change as opposed to what we have now. Currently, our citizens are used to a manual collected system where the guys go around right on the back of the trucks and they manually collect trash from the alleys. This contract provides for an automated collection service using 96-gallon carts. The frequency of collections will be 1 time a waste for trash, which is your normal garbage, protrusible materials that you throw away from your kitchen table, things that are not recyclable. That will be 1 time per week in the 96-gallon cart. You will also have a 1 time per week recycling pickup at your curbside. So this is something new that the citizens have never had before, is a curbside recycling program. So we will. This contract actually provides for a curbside recycling program. This also, we want to let you, and we have color charts over here on the side over there. You don't have to do it today. You can do it today whenever you want to. But council will get to decide and give us direction as to what color those carts will be. There will be one cart for the solid waste or for the regular municipal trash, and there'll be another cart for the recyclables. So there will actually be two separate carts. The collection points for this will be at the curbside. If you have a front entrance, if your garage is a front entrance, they will collect trash off of the street with a truck that has an arm to pick up the cart, the roll-off cart, and it will be picked up from the front of your house. And I'm just using this for example. I know there's different places all over town, but over there in the southwest part of town, we have several residential areas that have rear entry garages, rear access garages, and this will be allowed to also be picked up and utilized from the rear access. If you have a rear access house, you can actually have your cart, keep your cart in the back in your garage and roll it out to the alley instead of out to the street. And something else that's new that we've never offered before is the bulk waste collections. This will be curbside bulk waste at your residence. It'll be 4 times per year. And from the city standpoint, we do plan on limiting that, and we will bring back ordinance revisions later, but we do plan on limiting that to a 5 cubic yard amount. The reason for that is we don't want people from outside the city using their yard as a free dumping ground. So we don't want dump truck loads or trailer loads of trash being brought in and left in people's front yards. So that's why we are limiting this.
In plain English, describe the 5 yard limit. What?
A couch and a chair, roughly. It's going to be for those items. If you have a mattress and a box springs from a bed, items like that, things like that, are what we're talking about. And that's a rough limit, but it's not going to be an exact limit. But that's kind of for examples of what you could put out there. And then there is also in this contract we did establish a fee for bulk pickup waste. If you just can't wait till your turn comes up and you don't want to go to the landfill, for an additional fee, you can call and request a special bulk pickup, and they will come out and pick it up out of your cycle. Again, that will be for an additional fee though, and we'll go through those later. Part of the waste collections and part of moving into this new system will be an extensive education program. I believe when I get through with mine, Republic wants to get up here and provide y'all some information, give y'all a handout that kind of better explains their educational component of how they're going to implement the education in their program. So they'll get up right after I get through talking to share that with y'all and the citizens as well. We are going to continue to remain the Citizens Free Dumping Program out at the landfill. We'll get into more detail in the landfill side, but again, that's the 1 free dump per month with your current water bill and driver's license or identification. Also in here, we do have it will be decided by the city, set through provisions in the code of ordinances, but we will provide for a disabled person service. That way, if you are disabled and unable to get your cart from your garage or the front of your house to the street, that they will have a provision in there where they will come up, get your cart, take it to the street, and then return it back to the front of the house for the disabled persons. And again, there will be a process to approve those people for that service, but it is a service being provided. As we move forward, we start into the rates for the residential side of things. The collections and service for the 1 time per week garbage, the 1 time per week recycling, and the 4 times per year bulk pickup. The rate will be $13.97. The additional, if you want an additional cart, because you just like Councilman Self up there, he says he is just a trash generator. He said he's going to have more than 1 cart. So if you have to have another cart, that will be an additional fee of $5 per month. If you are just huge into recycling and you can come up with all your recyclables, and because we want to promote recycling, an additional cart for recycling will be $1.25 per month. If you're like me, have two teenage kids that are fairly new drivers, and your kid decides that one evening they're going to run over your cart, and you have to replace it because it was your fault because it was destroyed, that will be a $65 charge to replace that cart.
And Shane, can you let everybody know that those carts will be free to begin with?
Yes, the initial carts as they're rolled out, everybody will get one waste cart and everybody will get one recycling cart. There's no additional charge. They will bring them to your house and they will drop them off. Of course, that's part of the educational program. They'll go over with you here in a little bit.
Shane, are they both 96 gallon?
Yes, they're both 96-gallon carts. And of course, the fee for the out-of-cycle bulk pickup that we talked about a while ago will be a $75 trip fee plus $25 per yard. Again, this is if you just can't wait for your turn in the deal and you don't want to go to the landfill, you prefer them to come out to your house out of cycle, they will do that, but that's the fee that you will be charged for that.
Yes, ma'am.
On the residential. Okay, on the 1 time per week recycling, didn't I see in the proposal where there is a minimum weight on that? There were some qualifiers on that.
There is, and we'll get to that here in just a minute in the presentation. So, and the trip fee for carts, whether the cart's destroyed and they have to bring you a new one. Now, if it's through normal wear and tear and your cart it needs to be replaced through normal wear and tear and normal issues, they will of course replace that for free. But again, like if my teenage son was to drive over it and it's my fault it's destroyed, and they have to bring you a new one out, it's a $20 charge for that. Or if you want extra carts because you generate too much waste, there's a one-time $20 charge to bring that cart out to you.
But you can go get them.
I'm sure that they could work out a deal where they could work with you. So, again, moving forward, the billing for the residential services will be provided by the city as they are now. Here is on the recyclables when we start talking about how much we're generating. 50 cents may be added to the rate if recyclables collected do not exceed 500 tons per month for the prior year. This is to say that if all of the waste that's picked up on the curb when they take it across the scales, that's in that curbside recycling bin, if it does not, if it doesn't equal up to 500 tons after the evaluation periods, then we will add on an extra additional 50 cents. This is to cover the cost of with their third-party provider that's going to do their work for them, his costs associated with it, how he based his performance measures to generate the income he needed to do what he's doing. He needed a minimum of 500 tons per month, so this basically is helping cover that third party.
May I ask, this is related to my question earlier. Okay, so how is that, how does the citizen, I don't understand how they control that.
The citizens don't necessarily by an individual or by themselves control it, but once we're hoping that from everything that we've heard, the citizens are really enthusiastic about the recycling program, and we really want them to use it. And if they do use it and they are using this service, Republic felt certain that they would be able to meet these standards. And they said, especially after we get everything rolled out, people get used to the system, they get used to the recycling program. Recyclables, and I've talked to several people that recycle now currently. I've talked to other cities. They say once citizens get used to it and they're doing it on a regular basis, they said it's really surprising as to how much recyclables that you actually utilize in your household. They talk anywhere from 50% plus of your trash that you generate in your house is generally recyclable. So
in the beginning, though, the customers should assume that they're going to have an additional 50 cents?
No. Only after the complete, after all the carts are out and we've started the program and everybody in the city's on the program, there's going to be a 6-month evaluation period to let everybody get used to it and get going. And then after that, when we evaluate it, at that point, if there is not 500 tons being generated, then this 50 cents will then be charged. It's not something that's going to be automatic up front.
Okay.
We're going to allow the citizens to get used to the program, to get used to the recycling, and then, only then, if we're not generating enough recyclables, then will this 50-cent charge be added.
Thank you.
And as we move forward on the billing rates will adjust annually by 2.9%. There is and this is for the initial 10-year term. And then there is a fuel rider in there, or whatever you want to call it, surcharge that can be applied if the Gulf Coast average for diesel goes above $4. So, and then it's a fluctuating. It can go up and it can come down based on the Gulf Coast average. And just for a little bit of history, I believe the Gulf Coast average hasn't broken $4 since 2007 or 2008. So, just for a little bit of history on that. We did a rate comparison with other West Texas cities around us. Of course, services vary from city to city and size to size, so you're not always dealing with apples to apples, but this is fairly close for residential services. None of these other cities, to my knowledge, unless it has just recently happened, have a curbside recycling program, and these are all the rates that we have for other cities. You can see Abilene at $14.85, and you go all the way to Odessa over $18. So, and you can see that our proposed rate of $13.97 is still below the average of the other West Texas cities for residential collections. We did a comparison between where we are right now versus where we will be. You can look current rates, 2 times a week trash collection only, the manual service. Base rate's $9.01. By the time you add all of our additional fees that we add to it and tax, we're at $11.22 per month. You look over at the new rates, $13.47 is a base. The 50 cents is what they're charging for the bulk pickup. And then you tax, we're going to be at $15.12 for residential service. Let's move into non-residential services. Contractor is going to provide for non-residential services, which includes all commercial industrial businesses and multifamily residential complexes. All non-residential waste collections will be exclusive except recycling. Y'all clearly stated to me that y'all did not want to have recycling as an exclusive part of the contract, so we kept recycling out of it. So all recycling services will remain open to whoever wants to recycle or offer that service. And recycling will be optional for non-residential customers. So if they want to participate in the recycling program through Republic in this contract, they can. If they don't want to, they do not have to. But it will be offered through Republic. Of course, again, method of collections for non-commercial will be all the way from the small 96-gallon carts all the way up to dumpsters and industrial roll-offs and compactors. Frequency on non-residential, as it has been in the past and it will be in the future, is a minimum of 1 time per week, and then it'll be on demand for roll-offs. That's the way it was in the old contract, and that's the way it's going to continue into the new contract. The rates were negotiated for the non-commercial services. Contractor will be responsible for billing non-residential accounts and maintaining non-residential accounts. Customers will only be billed the base rate plus the contract fee plus the taxes. There is the ability to have additional charges for delinquent or late accounts or hindered collections. And then, of course, there are charges for the movements and all that stuff. You will see as we move forward into the next item in our fee schedule that all of these rates are published in the fee schedule. Here's kind of a breakdown of what our negotiated non-residential collection pricings will be. We don't really have a chart to describe of what anybody else's be. Commercial collections vary so much that it would be hard to find, somebody that's out there that's like us, that's offering us, that has basically in the past had the, I'm trying to think of the right word here, had the I guess the direction or the from council as to how they plan to move forward and work through rates. Our rates are probably a little bit higher on the non-residential side than what some other cities are, but again, what drives the rate structure on this is so variable that it would be hard to find an actual comparison out there that's similar enough to us to actually be fair to either person or either side. Again, roll-off, non-residential roll-off pricing. Negotiated container movement rates for $50 for delivery, swap, exchange. You can kind of go through down and follow those. With this, within this contract, and something we didn't have in our old contract, we have put in performance measures that will actually have liquidated damages clauses for non-performance. So we wanted to go through those with y'all as well, something that this is new to this contract that we've not had before. Miscollections, if they miss 8 residences, we get called in, we get complaints that they've missed over 8 residences in any single one day, then that'll cost $25 per residence per day. Miss a residential block, $250. Operating outside of approved hours, $100. A failure to respond to a spilled litter within 2 hours. Now, this is respond. It's not have it picked up. This is respond to it within 2 hours. It's $250. Failure to maintain vehicles, $100. I don't know if you want me to read these or not. Touch on the highlights. Failure to respond to complaints in one business day, $100. Commingling of materials, $1,000. And one for the temporary roll-off customers. If a roll-off customer calls before noon on one day, unless it's a Friday, they will have the container there the next business day, basically within 24 hours. And this credit of $175 will actually go back to that customer. It's not a liquidated damage at that point to the city, but it'll be a credit back to that customer. So that basically covers the roll-off. If after 48 hours, if they still haven't delivered it within 48 hours, at that point in time, then liquidated damages of $100 per day will start kicking in and taking effect for that service. The city benefits off of the collection side of it in order to help offset our cost with the billing and accounting and all the other issues that we have related to this side of it. The city will receive approximately $500,000 in annual revenue from the billing and collection sides. Again, we want to stress that with all this, our citizens will see an increased level of service. There's going to be now the curbside bulk collections 4 times a year. We've never had that before. This is a new service. And we're also including curbside recycling service, as well as optional commercial services, recycling services if they want those. And something again I just stated we've never had before in our previous contract is increased contract requirements with the liquidated damages in there. Moving on to the landfill. Again, negotiated topics, term and length of the contract, services to be provided, and the rates for the services. Under this, contractor will lease and operate the landfill. And we negotiated the length of this lease to be the life of the existing site as it's stated in permit 79 currently. Based on numbers and figures and compaction rates and projected annual growth, this is approximately 18 years is what we're looking at right now. variables can change, factors can change, this can go up, this can go down. So, but again, best projections right now, approximately 18 years. This agreement will be for the exclusive operation of the landfill, including the landfilling, cell construction, engineering, monitoring, reporting, and the closure and post-closure processes. Services provided at the landfill. Still, we have the, again, liquid waste disposal. We've had that in the past. That's not a very big money generator for us, but we do still offer it. We will be creating a citizens convenience center out there so we can keep the citizens off the working face of the landfill, provide them a clean, safe place to deposit their stuff, their debris when they do actually go out to the landfill and enter the landfill. We're going to be requiring them to man the Citizens Convenience Center as necessary to ensure that we help the citizens and help educate the citizens on diversion practices, to ensure that if they do have recyclables or materials that can be recycled, that they do divert those into the proper bins. And then, of course, too, we are going to have a mulching operation out there. We do take in quite a few branches and trees, especially like when we've just had the recent storms that we've had. I know the two piles that we allowed citizens to dump at, we have been inundated with those piles. So we will have quite a bit of that in the mulching operations, and the mulch will be provided free to the citizens of San Angelo to pick up at the Citizens Convenience Center. Rates are split into three categories. We have municipal rates for the fees as you go on the gate. We'll have municipal rates for everybody that's inside the city limits. We'll pay one rate. County rates outside of the city limits, but within Tom Green County, will pay a different rate. And then everybody that lives outside of Tom Green County that wants to come in and use the landfill, and or if the waste is derived outside of the city limits, will be charged the rate from outside the area rates. These rates include all state and federal fees, proprietary charges excluding tax, the municipal tipping fee at $35.50, county tipping fee at $38, and the area tipping fee at $40.50. There are other rates that we do have specified in the item next that you're going to see in the fee schedule, and those will be those are all listed out there as to what other charges are out there, but and this may not be an all-inclusive list, but just to give you all an idea. And then the rates will be adjusted annually by 2.75%. Additional terms, performance requirements, liquidated damages. There will be the Citizens Convenience Center. It will be staffed appropriately, again, to help the citizens as they offload, and also to help educate the citizens as necessary to ensure that they are placing the right waste into the right bins. Again, I've already mentioned the free mulch is available. And then also, again, go back to the Citizens Free Dumping Program that we currently have. This, again, allows residents one free dump per month with their most current water bill and an ID. And again, make sure that this is a residential service, not a commercial service. And we need to also ensure that the IDs do match the water bills. We get a lot of questions about that on a regular basis. This is it. Unlike in the past where the city has had to pay for this service, reimburse for this service in the past, we are no longer going to have to reimburse for this service unless the dumping program exceeds 6,000 tons annually. And then at that point, if we go over the 6,000 tons annually, then we will pay the gate rates. We will reimburse the gate rates as it goes across the scales.
Question, Charlotte?
Yes, on the free mulch that is available at the Citizens Convenience Center, is that bagged, or do they just have to shovel it in a pickup?
It'll be shovel it in the pickup. It's just going to be in a pile there, and they'll shovel it into their vehicles. Or if they can bring buckets, they want to bring sacks, trash sacks, whatever, they can do that in and put it in their deal. Or I guess you can buy it or go out there and get it by the pickup load and load up as much as you want. So.
Okay.
And again, we touch base on the 6,000 ton annually. We strongly feel with the quarterly bulk pickup that we're going to have, curbside bulk pickup that we're going to have, that we're going to see that this number will drastically be reduced from where it currently is, which it fluctuates around that 6,000 tons. It can go up. Certain years can go up more than that, other years less than that. But we feel that this number will not be exceeded. Benefits to the city, other benefits to the city. The past liability for the groundwater contamination as it identified by the TCEQ in the remediation practices that we're having to follow right now, those will transfer from the city to Republic. As you know, contractually, our current contract, the application that applies to this the city did agree back in the last contract to take this liability. Republic has offered to take this liability now from us, as to where the previous contract that was not the case.
Can you tell us what the RFP said regarding that liability?
I cannot quote that right now off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
You want to paraphrase?
It basically asked. I'll have to get the copy of the RFP.
And I only bring it up because I think the citizens, when they're looking at rates, the landfill is the piece that they really miss. But we can talk about that at the end of his presentation.
And we can get the RFP and pull it up and take a look at that. Let's see, replacement of the post-closure obligation with a trust held in the city's name. What this will offer, once they establish this trust, currently, the city has to hold back in its general fund, a portion of its general fund, based on multiple factors and required by the TCEQ, to hold in its fund or to place a liability against its fund a certain amount of money. So this trust at that point will free up approximately $3.2 to $3 million against our general fund. So that money will be freed up for council to be able to utilize in other capacities as well.
That amount will grow as the landfill nears the end of its life. Each year that amount grows.
That's correct. Another benefit for the city is it's going to be a reduced cost of the management to the city through consultant expenses, monitoring and testing expenses, reporting expenses, construction expenses that we currently have right now. All of those will be taken and handled by Republic Services. And then as we move forward, this agreement or also has liquidated damages in it, something that our previous contracts have never had. Adheres to cell construction requirements 1,000, staffing the convenience center 250. Adherence to daily and intermediate cover requirements $1,000. Go through here. Maximum turnaround time for vehicles $100. Failure to control or clean up litter $250. That's per occurrence. Failure to divert recyclables. We can go all the way through these. I don't know that y'all want me to read them all. Failure to or if they receive a notice of violation, or if we, the city, receive a notice of violation from the TCEQ or any other governmental entity, then that's, if it's a non-finable violation, it's $500 per violation. If it's a finable violation, it's $1,000 per violation, and they are responsible for the amount of the fine. Failure to respond to customer complaints, and this is based on a time limit. If they don't respond, it's $50. If they continue not to respond, it'll go up to $250. And then we do have failure to achieve minimum density. This is a formula that's actually put in the contract that it will be based off of. And the same thing is basically overuse of soil within the facility as well, is also, it's a formula that we use to calculate that on an annual basis. Benefits to the city, monetary benefits to the city. There's going to be an initial lump sum payment of $3.6 million. This will help with the fund balance, negative fund balance that we currently have in this fund, and bring us whole again. They're going to reimburse us for the construction of cell 11A at $225 per cubic yard. This number could vary a little bit depending on the final calculation of the cubic yards available in cell 11A after it's constructed, but it could be up to 1.305 million. Again, that will be a calculation based off number of cubic yards available at $2.25 per cubic yard. And then the final two payments of our gas field collection system, the debt payments of approximately $670,000 will be given to the city as well when those payments become due. We talked briefly about the trust that they're going to be establishing. The initial closure and post-closure trust payment will be $4.735 million. Annual trust payments that they're going to use, it's approximate because it's going to be based off tonnage that comes across the scales, but it's roughly $184,000 to get us to that 8 to 8.4 million at the end of the term of this agreement. Annual leasing.
What's our recourse on that if we don't have enough money at the end of this sale? If we don't have that $8.4 million at the end of the lifespan.
At the life of the.
Yeah, let's say that this lifespan of the landfill goes from 18 years to 14 years, and we're trying to get this money in 18 years. What is our recourse at that point?
The language in the agreement is that they will adjust accordingly to ensure that the final amount that is set by TCEQ for this will be actually placed in that trust for them to draw upon.
So
Rodney,
it should even out then, is what you're saying?
There's a computation every year done by engineers for the expected remaining useful life, and then from that computation is drawn an accounting computation, and that liability is updated each year. So if we are, that won't jump up and surprise us.
Right.
That'll be something that will be taken into account in that computation, and it's actually a city liability. Shane has constructed language that requires them to create an asset for the benefit of the city. It's still a city liability, but they have contrived to create an asset designed to fund that liability.
Right. Shane's gone over all this with me already, but I want to make sure that the public understands that, because I've had that question asked several times, that maybe the lifespan is not 18 years, that it is 14 years or even 12 years. And I just want it to be out there.
Depending on rate of growth, I mean, the life expectancy could go down considerably. But we do have it to where it does adjust annually based on those calculations. So
I just wanted the public to understand that, though.
Yes.
That
okay. Annual leasing payment for us to lease the landfill to Republic. They will give remit to us $573,000. That will be adjusted annually by $3,230. And then the approximate annual tipping fee payments back to the city. Again, this is an approximate amount because it's based off tonnage, so we can't be exact. But we're estimating that it'll be roughly $327,000. As tonnage grows, or if we grow, it'll continue to grow. And that will also adjust annually by 2.7. Those tipping fees coming back to the city will adjust and increase 2.75% per year as well. And with that, my portion, I believe, is completed. I can answer questions, or we can get Republic up here to give them to let them talk to y'all about their education component and how they're going to implement that.
Question, Charlotte?
I do. I've been using the 96-gallon, and the trial basis and the pilot. And, of course, I'm just one person. And I never feel that can. Even when I mow the grass and put the bags of grass in there, I never exceed that can. But I'm a little concerned as to how we will handle, say, a couple that has 5 children or 6 children. Are we confident that the 96-gallon once per week trash pickup is going to be sufficient?
With the recycling component as well, if they will use the recyclables, it should help significantly. I've talked to other people that do have larger families, three and four children, and with the recycling component, because they recycle on their own already prior to that they don't have an issue with it. They said most of the times, even on one of those smaller cans that they're using now for their residential pickup in the alley, that most of the time they don't even fill up one small can with actual waste. The majority of their waste, they say, is recyclable, so they probably have as much recyclables.
Well, for dummies like me, recycling, is there a list of accepted items that I had asked you yesterday, can we make a refrigerator magnet that says what items they can put in the recycle bin? And we need something to give to the people. Is that
Yes.
planned?
I think when they come up here to talk about their
Okay.
educational components,
Okay.
I think they can address some of those issues as how they're going to educate the public as we move forward. And two, and if one cart is not sufficient for an additional $5 per month, you can have another cart as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the recycling program a requirement of the contract?
Yes.
Okay, so I had constituents ask me about that, so that there's no way out.
They have to offer it. The citizens don't have to use it,
Right.
but they have to offer it, and
Okay.
and they will, and the
But
citizens will get a card.
Isn't that your question? A requirement of the residential user?
No, a requirement of the
It's
service provider.
a requirement of the service provider to provide that service to the residences. Now the residences don't have to
They
use it.
don't have to.
They don't have to use it.
But on the waste stream, whether it's glass or something else, I know in our community, we've had trouble getting rid of glass, even though people have
Yes.
been really good about collecting it.
And that is one thing I will bring up. Currently, right now, glass will not be part of the accepted recyclables right now until Republic is working with another company to have a MRF built in this region. And once the MRF is built in this region,
What is a MRF, Mr. Kelton?
As a materials recycling facility. It's big. It's a great big huge shed or barn, and they take all the material recyclables in there and they run it through this big machine with people. It's actually I've been down there to Texas Disposal Systems, and I've been through their facility and toured it. And I have to commend those people that work on that thing, because I got dizzy just standing there for 30 seconds. I couldn't imagine standing there all day. So, but it's a huge facility that sorts, and they're able to sort recyclables into their individual components at that area.
Okay, and I want to get back to the 50 cents. So how does the city work with the service provider to monitor the waste stream of recyclables? Because there is some market sensitivity there, like with the glass. I mean,
There is market sensitivity there, and they will be, and of course, the provider will be responsible for marketing those recyclables as best they can. But they're going to be required to take all the recyclables that are approved. They will be required to take. My understanding is right now, and they can probably go into this further, but they have a local provider that is going to. They're going to bring all of their product into, bale it, and then they're going to in the interim, and then they're going to ship it to Fort Worth, to their facility that they have in Fort Worth, again, until we have a regional facility built. And then at that time, once the regional facility is built, they will start accepting glass at that point.
thank you.
Any other comments before we bring Republic up and then TDS? Republic? How long do you need, Kenny? Do you need more than 5 minutes?
I do not need more than 5. I think we can keep it under that.
Let's shoot for 5, and if you need more than that, then council can make the decision.
Very good. I'm Kenny Ramzinski, General Manager for Republic Services of San Angelo. And with me today, I have Johnny Perkins, who is our Corporate Director of Public Sector. Honorable Mayor, members of council, and Mr. Valenzuela, thank you for the opportunity to get up here and give you our proposal. Shane did an excellent job of covering at a very high level most of the topics. We're just going to try to concentrate on telling you a little bit more about Republic, how we're going to transition the service, and I'll touch on some of our value initiatives. So we want to start by saying that we are a local company. We have over 90 employees currently here in San Angelo, and they all live, work, and shop here in San Angelo. So we also we maintain a local office here over on Hughes Street, and we've been licensed in the city of San Angelo for over 3 decades. We look forward to maintaining our partnerships with many of the local companies here. And just to touch on some other points, Public Services annually infuses $1.75 million into local businesses through the purchases of goods and services here in San Angelo. We contribute over $150,000 annually to local nonprofits and charitable organizations here.
Thank you, Kenny. Republic Services is proud to say that we're one of the strongest financial players in the waste and recycling business. In fact, we have the highest credit rating of any company in the solid waste business across the country. We're very proud of that. We've always maintained an investment grade status, which is a priority for us as well as safety and our people. And Moody's has referred to Republic as credit resilient. And from a financial standpoint, how we operate financially in service to our customers, that is very key, critical, and important to our success.
Okay, now we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to transition the service. First of all, we're going to purchase brand new residential trucks, automated trucks that will service both your residential trash and your residential recycling. Each resident, like Shane said, will get weekly 96-gallon collection of their trash, and they will also receive weekly collection of their recycles via a 96-gallon cart. Additionally, they will receive that quarterly bulky item service, which will begin on October 1st of this year. So each resident will get their first quarterly pickup this year. We also, Shane touched on it, the roll-off guarantee. If a customer calls in by noon, the next day they will receive their roll-off service, and that's guaranteed with a $175 credit directly back to the customer.
All right, this is the part that I really, truly get excited about. It's where my title comes into play, Public Sector Solutions. And it's really about the key component of customer service, which is transitions or implementations. They must be and have to be seamless. And what you'll see from our public services here in San Angelo is a seamless transition. So you ask, what does that look like? It starts with public workshops. We're going to do at least 6, possibly 8 public workshops spread out over the time period between late in the summer and when the transition and the rollout actually occurs in terms of the carts being delivered and the new trucks being on the street. So there'll be 6 to 8 public workshops that'll be publicized. Members of the community can come, hear about Republic Services, see some of the brochures. Council member Farmer, you mentioned about the education recycling. They're going to know what to put in the trash container, what to put in the recyclable. They're going to get it to kick the tires, as I like to say, or kick the wheels on the cart, push the cart around and really get a sense and feel for what these new carts and toters are going to look like. The next thing is, Kenny mentioned the bulky item pickup starts October 1. Before that even occurs, the customer will receive 2 pieces of communication from us. One will be a door hanger at their residential door address saying when the bulk item service starts, what they could put out, how long the time period runs, and it'll give them the schedule for 2015. Secondly, we'll also do that through communication through the U.S. Post Office, through the mail. Customer will receive something in the mail that articulates the same message. What you can put out as bulk item, what you can't, when the service is, when your pickup will be scheduled. As it relates to the transition and the new automated service with recyclable containers and trash carts, we're going to send a mailer, 2 of them as a matter of fact, to each residential. Every residential customer going to receive minimum 2 mailers from us that explains the transition, explains when this program starts, explains what they can recycle and what they cannot. We'll give an all-important contact number of who they need to call in case there's any questions or something isn't right or they're just not understanding what the new service looks like. They will receive that. In addition, they'll receive a 3rd piece. Yes, we're going to go back to their home and their door and do another door hanger and put another piece of information that describes exactly what I just said, who to contact, what you can recycle, what you can't. Cart delivery. There was a mention of cart delivery. Probably need another 30.
Council, you want to give him? Time's up. We still going to authorize him to continue to speak?
I'm good with that. We just need to give TDS the
Yes,
same
I
amount of time.
understand. Is everybody all right with continuing?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. When the carts are delivered, we're going to communicate two ways with the customer. When the carts are delivered to their alleyway or their curb, there's going to be a hanger on the cart that describes the day of their service, again, what they can recycle, what they can, and who they should call. The second piece of communication is going to be a mail to their home, again, directly to their home, and it will also describe your cart's been delivered, here's what you expect, here's how to use it, here's where to set it in the alleyway or the curb, and this is what you should do going forward. Finally and last, on education, we're going to be hitting all the radio stations. We're going to be hitting the newspaper 8 times. We'll hit 8 Sunday papers throughout the course of this implementation and transition, where we'll do a full-page ad describing all the things that I just spoke of. And of course, on our website, there'll be a tailor-made San Angelo website through Republic Services, where that information will also be communicated to the customer and made available.
I just want to touch on just a couple more things that we are offering 10 $1,000 scholarships to local high school students as part of this contract. As Johnny said, we will maintain a website portal that is specific to San Angelo, where people can go online, pay their bill, request services, check on their bulky item schedule. We will also conduct a biannual e-waste event, which we will partner with local companies to do that, to administer and execute it. And we want to stress that our commitment in partnering with local businesses to execute our new recycling services, not only are we excited that this creates jobs, but it creates jobs here in San Angelo. So, and also, as part of that, talking about that website portal, where you can go online and do that, but we also will maintain, as part of this contract, a local customer service company, service center, where if you want to call, speak to someone on the phone, you're talking to someone here in San Angelo. And lastly, Shane hit on the new convenience center. So within 60 days of the effective date of the contract for the landfill, we will submit a permit modification to TCEQ, and then we will start construction within 90 days after that permit is approved. Landfill infrastructure, we will continue to do landfill infrastructure improvements, including gas systems as needed, perimeter fencing, and whatever else is required. We take 100% of the risk and all the liability and management of the landfill away. And we will, although it's definitely in the contract, and for obvious reasons, it's part of council's approval to approve any expansions to the landfill. If that approval comes, Republic Services will fund 100% of any expansions. And on behalf of Johnny and myself and Republic Services, we'd like to thank each one of you, and specifically also the city staff, Mr. Valenzuela, Daniel, Patrick, Licia, for all the help and coordination that we've been able to do to pull this off. So we look forward to our continued partnership, and we look forward to keeping San Angelo clean. Thank you.
Any questions for council? Council? No questions. You got away with it.
How much time did they take so we could?
You've got 8 minutes, Mr. Gregory.
I have a handout. May I pass it out?
Yes, sir.
Or give it to Secretary?
Alicia.
Thank you very much. I'm Bob Gregory with Texas Disposal Systems. I have a handout for you, and I'm going to move very, very quickly through this, and thank you very much for 8 minutes.
I'm setting you on 5, then I'll reset it on 3, so that's what it's programmed.
I'm sure you're going to let me know. Okay, if you look when you get your package at tab 1, this contract value was an issue on April 1st. This contract value, now that we see pricing, is $466 million for the 20-year contract. Does not count the ability to expand the landfill. You just heard them talk about the ability to expand the landfill, and that contract would continue. The contract for the landfill could turn out to be a 100-year contract that would never have to come back to the city council. Those decisions on that expansion and the amendment going forward would be done per this contract between the Republic and the staff. So this contract could be up to, and we believe is a serious term, over $2 billion. It's the biggest contract any council has ever bid on, and any council has ever considered. 72 hours review of a contract from Saturday morning at 9 o'clock till now is not enough time. If you go to tab 5, you will see a comparison of commercial rates. It was said in the press conference recently that the commercial rates were comparable. As it turns out that we see rates now, it is not true. The TDS rate, commercial rates are less than the rates proposed in this contract. They're laid out very carefully. It's a very significant contract increase for commercial rates coming on August 1st. If you go to tab 6, it's the residential rates. Now, it is true, we bid numerous options for the city. TDS has 85 community contracts for residential collection. Almost all of them have every other week for recycling. You have to have it weekly for garbage, and weekly is enough with a cart almost in every case. But almost all of the accounts that we have, 85 municipal accounts, have every other week. City of Austin has every other week, most all. That is sufficient. It costs more money to go by the house twice to pick up recycling. We think that's an unnecessary expense. The TDS cost for residential collection with every other week is less than the cost that you're now considering for Republic. If you go to tab 7, you will see the cost comparison of the rates for commercial. The TDS commercial rates, based on the rate, the volume of business and the number of containers and the frequency of those containers in San Angelo, which we learned is a lot less than what the reality is. They told us the volumes for commercial collection was smaller than we've learned since then with open records requests that it is. That affected our rates. The difference in the TDS commercial rates and what is in the contract that you're about to approve and the ordinance that's on the next agenda item is $55,000 a month. That's $666,000 a year, or $6.6 million over the first 10 years. The statement that the commercial rates are roughly the same is not true. The TDS contract had lower rates. If you go to tab 8, you will see a very detailed, I know it's not detailed, it's detailed given the 72 hours we've had to review the contract of major issues and problems with the residential account. If you go to tab 9, you will see major issues of the landfill contract. This is a very bad contract for the city of San Angelo. And if you'd give us time to do it and evaluate it and to talk about it or present it in writing, we'll do it. It's an extremely bad contract. It focuses on liability that Republic already had and already has. And putting up money for things that they have to do anyway is way overrated. Let's just say it that way. If you go to tab 12, you'll see a fact sheet and petitions. There's about 250 people signed those petitions. In most cases, both of them. And I won't have the time to talk about those petitions any further. If you go to tab 13, there is a lawsuit that was filed yesterday. If you go to tab 16, it deals with what it is that we're asking you to do. And I'm sorry to move so quick, but it's just necessary. Just say no to the staff proposed contracts and rate ordinance revisions proposed today. Number 2, throw out the related RFP processes and responses because it was not a fair RFP. You know I've been under an anti-lobby restriction and can't talk to you other than when the opportunity arises right here. Immediately end the overcharges of Republic ongoing unauthorized charges and taxes to commercial customers. Direct city staff to negotiate a 6-month extension of the existing contract with the Republic. Permanently remove commercial waste collection services from the exclusive contract and allow for an open and competitive non-exclusive franchise market to provide businesses the option of contracting with a service provider of their choice at an open market competitive rate. The city would still get their franchise fee. You wouldn't lose anything there. It would make choices for the businesses. The city should hire an independent third-party auditor to determine the extent of overcharging that has taken place by Republic in all rates regulated under the current and prior contracts over the past 20 years. That report should be publicly disclosed with the audit findings, and to take advantage of every action necessary under the current contract to compel Republic to refund 100% of those illegal charges with interest that's not authorized by city ordinance, and to do this prior to taking this vote. Otherwise, you don't have any leverage at all that it will actually get done. And by our estimates, that's over $9.2 million without any interest. It could be much, much more. It's a large, large amount of money. Then, initiate a new request for proposal process to acknowledge and allow open market competition for non-exempt commercial waste collection services, to allow Republic to continue to operate the city-controlled existing landfill until all of its capacity is consumed, and to include proposal opportunities for the permitting and operation of a new modern landfill for use after the existing landfill's remaining capacity is consumed. And whatever you do, please allow at least 2 weeks review of these things for the public to happen before it comes up for a vote. This contract, the landfill contract, being a life of site contract, and the city working with the Republic to close the road between the 320 acres to the north of landfill and the landfill that exists now, allows this contract to go on literally, I believe, for 100 years. This contract also gives exclusivity to Republic for the collection of liquid waste and grease trap waste and some other waste. I believe there are companies in this city who will go out of business because of this, that depend on the treatment and the hauling and the collection of liquid waste and grease trap and grit trap waste. I don't think they even know that this provision is in here. Why would they? It was news to us. That was a new thing to us Saturday morning when we saw it. Consider the every other week single stream collection of recyclables. It gives you plenty of capacity and you don't have to pay the extra costs. I'm a total supporter of recycling, and that's all that you need for that. The allow for the new RFP that considers the market's reality, not what was presented before, and don't make the whole thing about Republic just giving money that they already are responsible for. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, Mr. Gregory?
Clarify the comment that they're already responsible for that, the last comment you just made. Explain that to the public.
We have looked at all of the contracts that have existed over the last 37 years, and we find that they have had responsibility within those contracts for this. Now, they never put up money. The contracts didn't require them to put up separate dollars to the city. That was an oversight. It should have happened, but nevertheless, it didn't happen. That still didn't make them unresponsible for it. They are a very, very successful and very wealthy company. They have the resources to do this. To assume that they're going to go out of business and you have to give away the farm to get money from them now to do things that they're already responsible for under the contract, I think is way overestimating the value of that money. The contracts require them to do it. They, as you know, you were at the pre-bid conference, as I recall.
Yes, I was.
There were like 7 companies that asked to participate in this, and I think all of them were there at that pre-bid conference. It was quite a crowd right here in this room. Once they saw the problems with the landfill and looked at it, you know, only TDS is the only company that showed up, and we wouldn't take that liability and that responsibility. Republic just said to the council that they'll take all responsibility and liability of the landfill. That's not true. They can't do that. Even if they wanted to, they can be a first in line, but the city's on the responsibility for that landfill forever because you own the landfill. It's your, and most, half of the waste that goes in it is the city's waste. They're already responsible for it. Get what you got. We helped you do it. You wouldn't have done it without TDS being present. I think you know that. Get what you can, but don't make it the overshadowing amount that you're willing to give away. Literally a life of sight for an expansion of a landfill on 320 acres after closing a road that literally could be 250 feet tall without having to come back to this landfill.
Is that reality, though? I don't think that anybody's ever gone 250 feet.
It happens all the time. Landfills, this is a permit number 76 or 74, very, very old, one of the oldest landfills permits still in operation in the state. Used to, you'd go down about 20 feet below ground and up about 20 or 30 feet. That's what this landfill does. Nowadays, because it costs about $1 million an acre to develop these landfills with synthetic liners and leachate collection and all that, you want to get as much capacity over that as you can to disperse the cost. So going down 30 or 40 feet, depending on the water table, it's very typical for them to go up 200 plus feet now to have a column of waste large enough to distribute that. There's no requirement in here for any type of limitation on that. I don't think the people in Pauline Park and other places around here, even that you can see the Cactus Hotel from everywhere out around here. Figure what.
But
Stop.
TCEQ, I think, is responsible for how they dictate how high you can go on that. Am I not right?
What you do as a company, you request and it has to fit on with slope, and things like that.
Yeah.
They approve your permit. They don't come in and say, no, you don't need to be that tall. If you meet the rules, they'll permit it. Sometimes they'll permit it if you don't meet the rules. It's a community thing, especially a landfill being owned by the city of San Angelo. It's a community thing of what they want to do on land use compatibility. They generally rely on the community to give to call the shots, especially when it's a city-owned landfill.
Shane, can you step up to the mic real fast? I just want to clarify this, and I'm going back and forth. I'm trying to do this for the public. Would it be common to go up to 250 feet on a landfill out there? I've never heard of it.
On our existing landfill, I don't, of course, it'd be up to the council to decide as to what your parameters and what you'd want it to look like. Is it possible? Without the engineering drawings, I can't tell you for sure. Theoretically, yes, it's possible you could. Now, whether the geographics and the layout of it would allow that through engineering principles, I don't know. That's something that you'd have to look at moving forward. Again, of course, those are decisions that would be a council decision. Whether y'all would vote for an expansion, whether it be at the existing permit or whether it would be for the land to the north.
Right.
That's going to be a council decision. That's not a staff decision. That's a council decision and a citizen's decision. I can't imagine that there would be a council that would want Mount San Angelo sitting out there or sitting on 50th Street. But again, theoretically, is it possible? Yes. Physically, based on the confines of the parameters of the existing land, that's the engineers would have to look at that.
Okay. The next question I have for you, and I'm almost done, is for Greg or Bob. On the commercial, you have that y'all's costs are lower on the commercial side of it, but that doesn't take into account the costs that are involved with having the landfill and taking the landfill either. Is that correct?
Well, you bid a package deal, so you could have the free residential and charge more for commercial, or a lot higher commercial and a whole lot lower landfill. So you do have the ability to move cost around there.
I know, that's what I'm saying here. It appears to me, and I just explain it to me really well. In here, in this package you just gave to me, you showed that your cost or the charge that you would have would be less for the commercial part of it.
That's correct.
But you didn't take into account of having a package deal like they've had to do. You've hand-picked something out of it. Is that?
Well, yes and no. That's okay to say that because one effect on one affects the other, and I'll give you that. However, to say because they operated the landfill so poorly for 30 years, and there's contamination that goes all the way over into Pauline Park, and there's major issues that no one wants to touch and take on that landfill, that shouldn't give them another 37 years to go before the thing is bid again, or something like that. Who controls the landfill in this case, because it's such a problem there, gives that incumbent the ability to do anything they want if your only thing is to let the landfill control it. You heard my recommendation. My recommendation is they continue to operate that landfill till it's full. The RFP assumed and stated there was no intent to expand the landfill. This contract allows for the right to expand the existing landfill, even closing the road there so that it can expand over across the road into the 320 acres and do or do a new landfill over there. You literally could expand that landfill that's there, 320 acres, lasting 100 years, and I do not believe, by my reading of the contract, that it ever has to come back to the city council.
Is that your reading of it, Shane? Do you see that they could possibly be out there for 100 years?
With the expansion, if it were to be expanded, depending on the parameters set, and of course it's all depending on the parameters set, it could, that facility with the existing facility, depending on permit, if you modify the existing permit, you add the new land, depending on the parameters set, it could be a 100-year site.
Okay.
But again, too, and it's probably, we probably do need to clarify, and it may be in the contract, instead of city, maybe we do need to say city council, but it's going to be up to the city council to decide whether we expand or not. It's not a right of Republic to expand. It's going to be at the option and discretion of city council whether we expand moving forward. Again, that was in the RFP process. We didn't initially intend to expand, and still don't currently as we're moving forward. But it was an option that we did put in the RFP process. We do have this 320 acres to the north of the existing landfill site. If you so wish to give us a proposal on it, you may do so. That was part of the RFP process. So, and again, staff's intention would never be to expand the landfill based on our decision. That has to be based on y'all's decision. That's definitely not a staff issue to decide.
Right, but the way the contract is written right now, that Republic would have the right to do that if they.
No, sir.
No.
It's solely at council's discretion.
It's at council's discretion to decide that then. Yes. So whoever is voted and put up here would be able to decide whether we were going to expand that or not, and allow them to go over to the other 320 acres on the other side.
And that would depend on the parameters that is set by council. It could be simply an expansion of the existing permit, or it could be an expansion that could include both. There are multiple ways to look at this and do this as you move forward. There's no one clear-cut way or one clear-cut answer.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Gregory? Let's take about a 10-minute break. We've been sitting here for about 2 hours. Let's take about a 10-minute break. We'll be right back, and then we'll take public comment. 12:35, Ms. Alicia. It's 12:53. It's time to reconvene the meeting. We have had proposals from we have had comments from TDS, from Republic. I'm now going to open it up for public comment. I will hold and restrict you to 3 minutes. So I would ask that you make a line, whether you're for or against, make a line, and somebody get us started.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can you tell us how you want this to run, and how long we'll go, or the lunch hour? There are people that are just sort of wondering how long we're going to continue without a break.
I would as soon go ahead and get through with this item and then break for lunch. That's me. How does council feel about it?
Yes.
Marty?
Show of hands.
How many want to talk?
3 minutes each.
2, 3, that's.
That's easy.
I'd like to go ahead and, I'd like to get this item concluded before we go to lunch. Is that all right down here? All right down here? All right out there?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though.
Line up. Let's get our first public comment.
Paul Alexander, former city councilman, SMD 1. And I'm speaking from, I suppose, a former city council standpoint here, councilman standpoint. I have construction experience, and I just told this to Elizabeth. When I invite my subs out to a construction site and I say, look, this is the plan, and I roll out the plans, and they begin to look at me strange, I ask them what they're thinking. And sometimes those subs can be full of information because they are the experts. The plumber knows how to do the plumbing differently to save $5,000 over here, or I can do it faster, higher quality, higher reliability. They're full of information. If you can get to them early in the process and ask them questions, they will tell you how to do it the right way, the best way. But you got to ask the questions. I don't think that's happened in this process. For the first time, you're hearing from TDS. They could not talk to you. There's an anti-lobby. You didn't ask them any questions. They're telling you right now where the pitfalls are, and they're doing it as fast as they can in time limits of 5 minutes and now for 3 minutes each. And they're going to barely have a chance to talk to you. I've talked to them for hours, and that's why last time I came up here, I said I was really surprised by this process and what's going on. It doesn't make sense because they have hours of time to talk to you about all the different options. There's hundreds of options they can do for you. If you'll listen and ask questions, they will tell you answers and they'll give you other ideas. It's a process. It's kind of a creative process, but you come up with the best answers that way. And I think Republic has got to be right in there with them. You got to ask the questions. That's okay. That's how it works the very best way. The second thing I'm going to say is listen to what they're saying about the past liability. You can't let that bleed into the future. When you do that, you just knock out all your other respondents. They're not going to turn in an RFP and take on a liability that is not theirs. They're going to charge you for that. And meanwhile, Republic is going to give you money for that. That's totally not fair. The RFP process is not a fair process. If I were up there in Rodney's position right now, I would ask to just knock the whole thing out and start all over. That's what I would be doing right now. And I want to let y'all know that. That's what would also clean up the public perception of what's going on. You're working very dangerously when you're entering into a contract with a company that has a lawsuit against them, that owes you money anyway, has liabilities anyway. You've got to separate those things out, at least delay the contract until they pay off everybody they owe. Because it's publicly, this is not a good thing for the city council. It hurts your image. It has been. It's just how it is. Release that information, let us see it for more than 72 hours, and there's a whole lot. I have a lot of things to say, but I'm trying to keep it simple. I got my time taken up. I appreciate it, and if there's any questions, I'll answer them. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, council.
Tony Villarreal. I'm here as a citizen and also as a small business owner. I'm here to tell you guys that as public officials, y'all were elected by the citizens of San Angelo, and I think through this whole process, I've admired the way y'all handled the public perception, and I'm here to tell you that as a small business owners and several other small business owners feel the same way. You always hear when we disagree with y'all, that's when y'all hear it. But I think it's important enough for me to come here and tell y'all that y'all have done a good job. Y'all have the interest of San Angelo at heart. I see every passion that y'all have to make things better for our future here in San Angelo. So I know y'all haven't taken this lightly. Staff hasn't taken it lightly. Everybody's done their due diligence. So we had RFP process. We were blessed to have two great companies come before you, and the decision that y'all came up with, I trust, and several other small businesses, I'm here to tell you, trust in what y'all are doing. So with that said, I want to thank you for your service, and may God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Morning, Mayor, council members. My name is Gary Newton. I'm the general counsel for Texas Disposal Systems, and I just wanted to follow up and point out language in the contract that deals with the expansion of the landfill, because there seems to be some question about whether it has to come back to city council if it's going to be expanded beyond its current boundaries. And I wanted to point you to section 7J of the draft contract, It says, during the term, the city may at its discretion grant the provider the right to expand the landfill both vertically and horizontally. And you couple that with other provisions in the contract that says that the city will work with the provider to close the 50th Street so they can move on to the 320-acre tract to the north. It's apparent that that horizontal expansion is intended to go that way. Well, in this section, it says, all expansion concepts and designs must be approved by the city prior to submittal to TCEQ. So it says the city must approve it. Well, what does that mean in this contract? You go to the definitions, and it simply says the city means the city. Okay, it doesn't say city council. It doesn't say city manager. It doesn't say, it just says the city. So clearly, within this contract, there's that opportunity for anyone to take on that responsibility and say, hey, we sign off on the expansion to create, as Shane says, Mount San Angelo. Now, the thing that's instructive in the other section of the contract that relates to this is in section 12L. It says that this contract can be amended without approval of the council. So the staff can come back in at any time and change any of this related to the expansion. And it says right in here, it doesn't have to be approved by the council. They could come back in here and say, all expansions must simply be approved by the city manager. And, and there it is. There's no council approval required. It's pretty simple, right on the terms in the document. The other thing I wanted to touch quickly on is that there was a question about authority under the contract right now for them to hold Republic liable for the post-closure costs. And I would just point you to sections 2.9 and 2.91 in the current contract, where it talks about the contractor agrees to perform and cause to be performed all landfill closure functions. Sounds like it to me.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Thank you.
I'm Thomas Lumley. I have Top Septic Service here in San Angelo, and the way you have written in this contract right now, we're one of the companies that the gentleman before was talking about would be going out of business if you allowed Republic to take over the hauling and the collecting of all the liquid waste. There's 3 of us that are here in town that you'd be knocking our businesses completely out because you'd be allowing them to take over full control. And I know that, as the gentleman said, he trusts that you're thinking these things over, but really have you considered what it would do with the cost of ones having any waste hauled away here in San Angelo, because they're going to be allowed to set the price, sky's the limit at that rate. And when the school board comes through and asks to have bids to collect to get the lowest rate, there's not going to be a bid anymore. You're going to have one hauler in the city or in the whole area, and you're knocking out generations. I know San Angelo is always saying buy San Angelo first. This is not buying San Angelo first. This is taking out a lot of these small businesses. You encourage us to expand, we expand, but this is slapping us on the hand if you allow these things to take place the way that the current, if it's rewritten, it makes a total difference, but the way it's written right now, it's going to knock us completely out.
Yeah, it's going to rewrite it.
I'm sorry?
Shane, can you come up and address this? We talked about this during the break.
Yes, Council. The city staff, nor did Republic Services ever have any intention, nor did we negotiate anything like this. We did have a typographical error in our definition system in our definitions of acceptable waste, and because we do have in the back of the we have it listed in 2 separate places, unacceptable waste in the back, and then we have an incorrect definition in the front. So city staff nor did Republic ever have any intention of this becoming an exclusive part of it. There was just typographical error in our definition of acceptable waste, and that will be corrected before we move on.
My next question is, can you wait until that next one is already redrafted? He has all these things taken out because, you know, it's one of these deals where we kind of feel like the Indian. You know, it's a little hard to trust a white man. Because if you're not going to allow this to take place and let us see this in writing before you vote on it, then I feel like we might have been a little bamboozled here. So that's I just ask that you, as a council, wait until they have this thing rewritten. We can read this contract. I don't know if you know it or not, but the latter part of your contract is on the website is down. We weren't able to read it earlier. It just kept saying, oops, it's down. So if you would please, as a council, wait until this thing is rewritten and they get rid of that type error. Type errors have cost a lot of money to different individuals, so that would be the only thing I request on this contract here.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Heidi Brooks. My husband and I operate Cactus Car Wash and laundromats throughout San Angelo. I'd like to start with a comment that was made by one of the city council members a year ago that he wanted honesty, transparency, and open government. Transparency is all we have here. This is the perfect reason for you all to wait on authorizing this contract. I'm not saying to stop it. I do agree we need to move forward, but we need to get all the information out on the table to all small business owners, to all residents. There are a lot of people that I spoke with yesterday that weren't even aware of what was happening today. Another comment by that same member said, listen to what the people say and act wisely. You are giving people 3 minutes to speak what they have to say. A lot of people aren't even educated on what's happening. I can only tell you that I have a limited education. I do know as a commercial business owner, I have been overcharged for at least 10 years on trash pickup from Republic. I think we need to look at some kind of a meeting, whether it's a town hall meeting, some form of meeting that small business owners can be aware of what is taking place with this trash contract. It's what's good, it is what's right, and it is what is fair. No one is disputing the charges that are taking place from Republic and the overcharges. Before anything happens with you all authorizing a contract, I think that needs to be addressed. The city council will become irrelevant if the people can't talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Dick Robertson. I've been a business owner and a resident of San Angelo for 20 years. I just wanted to come today to express my support for accepting this contract with the Republic Group. I have to say I admire the citizens of San Angelo for the interest they've shown in this particular question. I want to compliment the members of our city council and our city staff for handling it professionally. I've not seen an issue quite this divisive in a while, but I appreciate the different views that everyone's expressing as far as what the ultimate resolution should be. Personally, I think Republic Services is an outstanding business entity. They do a great job at what they do. This issue of the overcharging of commercial customers over the past years, that's an important issue that's come out because of this discussion, I think. And from what I understand, and I'm not an attorney, but from what I understand, there is a sincere effort and a commitment that's been made by Republic to step back, look at those overcharges for commercial clients, and rectify any overpayments or overbilling that has taken place. To me, it wouldn't matter. I'm not one that's exposed to those overcharges personally, but that wouldn't matter to me who the auditor is for that study. If I've got a business that's had a lot of those charges, I'm going to be going over my own bills, and I'm going to be taking that up with the Republic. So that, to me, is not really a big issue. I guess the main thing I want to say is that with the size of this city, the direction we're going with growth and everything else, it's nice to know that we have a company of the stature of Republic that has the capacity to provide the services, not that just we need now, but that we're going to need in the coming years. They're a tested entity, you know. I've got a lot of confidence in them. I applaud the fact that the council actually opened this up for an RFP in the first place. I don't think that's been done in the past unless I'm mistaken. And I just have to tell you that, you know, I voted to elect my representative on this council. All the rest of the citizens in this town did so, and trust you to make the right decisions on these things. And I trust you'll do that. But you have my full confidence, and I just want to reiterate that in my personal opinion, I think that we ought to renew the contract with Republic and assume that the corrections on the commercial client billings is going to be resolved. That's out in the open. That's not going to go away, and I think it should be resolved. But other than that, I appreciate your time, and hope you have a great day. Thank you for your service.
Good morning again. My name's Jerry C., and I'm a member of St. Paul Baptist Church, and I didn't address you correctly before, Mayor, City Council, City Manager, staff. As they were talking, I was just thinking, there's something I read somewhere where, and I've heard today again, that this company owes the city quite a bit of money. And I would ask you not to be sidetracked by a horse and pony show. You're voting on something that's very important. And I believe that the city needs to take their time, maybe do a month to month, until all of the monies and fines are paid back to the city before you renew any kind of contract or even contemplate a contract. And give some of our local people a chance and give them an audience, and then start working with them, negotiate with them, and see what they can do. Because I do believe that our business need to stay in San Angelo. And if it's possible to give them some kind of incentive for them to buy some equipment or whatever else that they would need to be able to compete or whatever, as long as we keep our business in San Angelo. But then see the writing on the wall, you know, well, I wouldn't even say that. What you need to really do is to see what's going on. We're owed money, okay? I'm not going to give you a contract to keep on taking money. You say you're going to pay me, but I'm going to make sure you're going to pay me before I give you a chance to get me again. And it's really something to think about, and I would ask you not to sign this contract now until you've worked out all the difficulties and dealt and negotiated with some of the people that's local, that has businesses that concerns that type of thing. Oh, and one other thing. I've lived and I visited places that have the recycle pickups once a month, or it is really what you really want. It would save money because you're not going to accrue that much recyclable stuff, plastic bottles, that type of thing. I don't imagine you're going to take aluminum, but once you clear that stuff out of your house, the most you're going to reaccumulate is magazines, papers, and plastic. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
Good afternoon. My name's Don Miller. I'm resident here in San Angelo, retired from working in electrical engineering and construction management for over 40 years. It's been my responsibility to review RFIs, to create RFIs, to send them out and get contractors to respond to those, and then review the work that those contractors and their monies and the conditions of their proposal. I don't want to tell you what to do, but I'm telling you what I would do. If I had a contractor who had been stealing from me for 30 years, I damn well would not allow him to to vote on or bid on a contract. So you people take it where you're at, where you want to. But I wouldn't do that. I would slow this thing down. If they want to resubmit a bid after they've cleared their deck from the debt that they owe us, I would allow that. But I wouldn't let them off the hook while they still owed me money. Thank you much.
Thank you, Don.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Councilman, and Councilwomen. I know most of you, and you know that I can't even say hello in 3 minutes. But no, I'm with the Zintner's Dollar Steakhouse, independent, and we've been in business 40 years. John Fuentes is another independent restaurateur, and his family, the Zintner family's been in business over 70 years, and the Fuentes the same amount. And the personal opinion is I don't think we should sign this right now. I think that this whole process has brought out a lot of questions which need to be answered first, and I'd like to have my refund before I sign another one, if I have one coming. But as far as the company, I've had no problem with Republic. I didn't care who gets it, but I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. What brought me down here today, though, was that one paragraph out of 160 pages of 2 contracts and the rates, was one little paragraph which has been covered now, and one sentence actually, and that was definition, putting in there grease traps and that. You know, most of our restaurateurs don't even know that's in there. And if I'd had time, call them all that'd been here, because that's a big deal. You know, it's not 5 gallons of oil; it's tank trucks, and it's going up from 22 to 31 cents. Most of the restaurants owners, through the media, know how much the solid waste is going to cost them, but they probably hadn't put a figure. Some of them don't really realize until if it went through August 1st. What impact it did have, but none of them are expecting that. And if you give an exclusive on the Holland's already been mentioned, and I know now you mentioned topographical, well, like the other gentleman mentioned, topos can cost somebody a whole lot of money, and that needs to be, in my opinion, straightened out before we vote on it. And you know, there could be no limit on what they could charge us for hauling it, and it will put out some independents out of business. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Renee.
Good afternoon. My name's Chad Sparks. Represent 3D's Plumbing and D's Recycling. Like Thomas Lumley and Bernay, that same paragraph, the language in that contract that they're asking you to sign, the language itself needs some clarification. Reading through that, it basically, in essence, it takes away the competitive nature of what we do in the grease trap, grit, and waste industry, and it hands it all over to them. If it's a topographical error, I would say the same. It needs to be resolved prior to signing a contract that will bind us with that, and that's what we would ask. We came before council 4 years ago and city staff to get recommendations for opening our own plant, D's Recycling. We met recommendations. We asked for the blessing. We got the blessing. We've put it in, and essentially this language would close the doors at D's Recycling. So again, I would ask that you would have the language changed or that error made right prior to signing that contract.
Thank you, Chad.
All right, here's a resolution that I would recommend to include in the motion, if there is a motion to approve, that the correction of this typo will be corrected. And the contract that was negotiated between the parties did not intend to regulate that or include that, and so it's not the intention. Okay. The contract is in substantially the attached form what the parties intend for council to sign. So we just need to clarify in the motion that that typo will be corrected.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Mayfield?
Well, thank you once again for allowing me to address you. I'm Stanley Mayfield, owner of Mayfield Paper Company here in San Angelo. Thanks to you, and I want a special thanks to TDS for persevering and bringing so many of these issues to our attention. I got to be quite honest with you. The coffee shop evaluation of this entire process is it doesn't pass the smell test. Too much secrecy, no exposure, no sunlight, no opportunity for reviewing, looking, discussing, examining. And this is not a small contract. We've heard numbers. I asked for a number several months ago, and I never got a reply from you, but if we're looking at over $400 million in value, or even greater than that, I think it deserves a public airing, scrutiny, examination, and then when those questions are answered and we're through with that process, then I think you're ready to vote on it. Well, I'm very grateful for TDS for taking the time, spending the money, investing their time, even though you don't intend for them to be the winners in this, but I think they're helping to do what is right. Now, in discussing the big debate on unauthorized charges, first of all, I've got to take primary responsibility. I wasn't auditing. I wasn't taking care of my bills. I wasn't checking them. I suppose I could pass the buck to the city council, and I said, well, I suppose the city's taking care of this since it's a franchise and an exclusive one. But my guess is that Republic saw an opportunity to achieve a better operating margin. That's what they're about, and it says so on their website. These environmental fees are all about margin. Why has the city not made a priority of completely investigating the claims of unauthorized charges by Republic before proceeding with a recommendation to enter a new contract? With lawsuits now filed against Republic on this topic, why is the city considering moving forward with such rush? Republic now appears to be admitting to the unauthorized charges. How can the city move forward on a contract with a party that has been accused of and now admitting to unfaithful performance in the current contract? What guarantee do we have that their compliance with a contract in the future will be any different than it has been in the past? Where is the integrity in this relationship, which I will call catch me if you can? I'm very apprehensive about moving forward with a vendor that has not shown faithfulness and integrity. I would urge you to slow this thing down, air it out, let the citizens look at it, let the business community look at it, and we'd appreciate your endurance and in doing so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Charles Young. It was council, ladies and gentlemen. It was nice to see you out at Little League last night watching some All-Star games. I hope you come out not next week, but the next. We've got another round of All-Stars coming up. I hope y'all come out and see that. Some of you may remember me, some of you may not. I've been up here before, and I have not been an advocate for TDS. I have not been an advocate for Republic. I've been an advocate for transparency and time. One of the things that worries me about all of this is the lack of time that we've taken in doing this. You're voting on a contract, and one of the topics that was just discussed was whether or not the city council ever gets to vote on this. I'm going to read you from the contract. This special contract may be modified or amended only by a written agreement signed by a city or provider, comma, without further approval of city council. Is that a typo? Is that a typo like the grease trap typo? Is that a typo like any other typos that are in here that we haven't had a chance to find? A couple months ago, I'm going to give you kind of a comparison and contrast. There was a vote in the city council, you weren't here yet, but there was a vote on the city council about air conditioning for the stables at Fort Concho. Do y'all remember that? One of the things that I noticed on that is that contract was approved by this council, and I think wisely so. It was funded by this city council, and I think wisely so. After 2 RFPs, after 2 years and 9 votes of this city council, a $175,000 contract was approved to put air conditioning in the stables at Fort Concho. How can you take less time with this than you took with that? Surely this topic, this impact on this city, on the businesses, on the individuals that live here, that work here, that are going to move here, surely the impact on those people is as important as air conditioning at the stables at Fort Concho. This contract lets Republic decide what they recycle and what they don't recycle. They have a tonnage limit on here, but they exclude glass, which is going to get your tonnage up. So their ability to control what gets recycled and what doesn't get recycled controls their ability to charge you extra and not charge you extra. If they exclude glass forever, because there's nothing in the contract that says they'll recycle glass when they get the MRF bin, right? There is nothing in this contract, unless I missed it, that gives a time frame for that. So it is not in their best interest to get that MRF in, because it's not in their best interest to recycle glass, because it is in their best interest to charge us an extra 50 cents a household. There are a lot of things in this contract. There are a lot of things that showed up in this contract that weren't in the RFP. There's an exclusive on the grease traps, which was a typo. There's an exclusive in this contract on hauling construction waste materials. I don't recall that being in the RFP. That just magically appeared in this one. There are a lot of things that magically appeared in this one, and without the time to look through this, to actually read it and study it and break it into pieces, you're doing a disservice to everybody involved in this, and that's every single citizen in San Angelo. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Tommy.
Hey, I'm Tommy Olive. I've been running Olive's Nursery forever, I think. But glad to see y'all. I just want to clarify maybe a couple of things. For one thing, I'm on a school board, and we have closed sessions, and there's a reason. And it's not be underhanded, or it's for good reason. And if you've never been on one of those kind of boards, you don't know what they are. But I trust y'all, and I think the citizens should too. I want to make that point. And also to clarify, we're talking about these extra charges and unauthorized charges. As I understand it, they were authorized. They were just improperly authorized according to the ordinance. So I have a business, and it's not a trucking business, but I pay surcharges because fuel has gone up, and I don't mind. And actually, if there's actually a margin, on an expense, so that Republic makes a margin on fuel costs. That doesn't bother me. Probably Stanley gets as much money as he can for every piece of paper he sells, and I get as much for every plant I sell. It's called capitalism, and we can't get too much, but we get as much as we can. We try to make money. And then there's the environmental fees. They've gone up, and they've passed that on, but apparently it wasn't approved appropriately, or it was that's the only thing that happened. They didn't gouge us. They didn't charge us for anything that they didn't really have authority to have authorization to charge us. They just didn't do it according to the ordinance, if I understand it right. So I don't know that we're due any money, and I hope we're not going to sue them out of greed, sue Republic out of greed. Just I hope we understand what's going on here. So I trust y'all to make good decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Hello, Harry.
Harry Thomas, community volunteer. Most everything's been said, but I just want to clarify a couple items. I would really encourage this council to consider extending the present contract for Republic for 6 months until we get all this stuff cleared, and so that Republic can come back and tell the public exactly what the auditors have found on the overcharges. we really don't know exactly what the extent of those dollars are going to be to the citizens of San Angelo. I appreciate the time that you guys are taking. I appreciate the time that the staff has taken to go through this. But quite honestly, if we'd not done an RFP, some of the things that Republic is going to do for us under the new contract would not have been there, because TDS actually set it out there. So I want to say, let's take our time and look at this. We really need to look to see whether there are any more items out there that are not spelled correctly, or if there's something else in this contract that really needs clarification. Thanks.
Thank you, Harry. Anyone else care to comment? The floor is open. Any further comment before we take action on this item? Council?
There's a lot to say.
Start with you.
The rookie. It's been interesting to see how much public contact has been made, constituent contact has been made on this issue. And I thought when I was watching this, when I was thinking of running for council, if I could design the process, I'd want it to be Company X and Company Y, because I've never seen so many constituents get so involved emotionally in a trash contract or a waste collection and landfill contract. But the fact is they have. I think these are two well-established companies that have a lot of ties in our community, and they got the community involved in this decision. I'm a little bit sorry that the landfill has become the tail wagging the dog, because I don't think the public clearly understands the extent of the liability and how the city has to address that, just like they do infrastructure for water and sewer lines that we've talked about. And somehow that is done through rates and other methods. Most of the people that have talked to me, of course, want commercial competition. But I think that's really neither here nor there. I think for today, my support would be to first have the environmental recovery fee settled. I think that's what my constituents want. I'm not going to lay any blame or make any suppositions about how this happened. It could have been completely, without fault of anyone, simply an oversight. But with that said, it's also a great deal of money, and the people that I represent want that settled before the council considers any award of bid. It could be that after that is done, the outcome is still the same, and we still go with staff's recommendation. But I think that it is true that our business community only right now has the strength of the council to help them get those overcharges paid back. And for that reason, my support is to ask Republic in good faith to extend their existing contract by a period of 6 months. Also pay for an independent audit chosen by an independent third party, and proceed that way. And once that overcharge is settled and repaid, then we consider the RFP for the new service going forward.
Don?
I agree with Elizabeth. One of the things that bothers me the most is the perception, and to me perception is truth. That we haven't been transparent, that we've been trying to do something behind closed doors, that even some of the blogs are talking about us getting kickbacks. When my chauffeur waves to y'all know I'm getting a kickback. So up until then, it ain't happening. The thing about it is, I have no problem in waiting on this thing. I agree with Elizabeth in that as far as the payback goes. I don't think that there's any real blame to be administered here, but it's still there. It still needs to be repaid, and I think that we need to make sure that that's done for our constituents, for San Angelo.
Charlotte?
Well, I agree and I disagree. First of all, I want to say that you folks think that we, twice a month is all that we meet, which is not so. We work a whole lot more than just 2 days a month. You may pay us only $40 a month, but this is the information right here, that I have reviewed on both these contracts, being on the committee, and to look at, and to make my decision was not light, and it was not uneducated. I do know, sitting on this council, that 2 times in my tenure here, that we approved fuel adjustment charges to Republic. They maybe were not headlines in the news, but it was done legally. And I do know that they're allowed an environmental fee. So I'm not as concerned with what overages may be, because in auditing anything, you know, you've got to have a margin of error for input and staff and changes. And we put fuel adjustment on a rolling schedule, and that's going to be different from month to month. And I understand all of that. I do know that both companies had the same opportunity, were given the same RFP to provide their information to us. And it was reviewed and compared. And I'm ready to move forward and even make the motion that we approve on the contingency that the corrections are made in the legal wording as brought out, subject to the city manager approving before it's signed. And I'm comfortable with Republic's offer, very comfortable. They've been here, what, 3-4 years now is all that they've been here. They bought an existing company. And I know that since they have been here, that the service that they have rendered for complaints that I have gotten have always been handled, and handled in a timely manner. And I have no further questions or statements.
Johnny?
Mayor, I'm going to start by seconding the motion and say that, is that a word? Did I say it right? Second? And say that I too, and Ms. Farmer took the words right out of my mouth. The RFP was sent out. Everybody was given a chance to present what they could bring to the table. And as much as I like both, I've met both folks. I've visited the MRF out there in Austin, and I was very impressed. And I know that it's a company of integrity. I have been ecstatic with Republic. I've never had any complaints that they have not been able to adhere to. I've had complaints from customers, but the minute I pick up the phone and call them, they're there, they're taken care of, makes me look like a hero. So, again, I think the option, the idea that came forward to move on this was given to all parties. I think there was 7 at one time, and it boiled down to 2. And I have every faith in my body, in that man right there, Shane Kelton, to have overlooked everything, every piece of the puzzle. And sure, there were some typos there. I understand that, and we're only human. But if you're going to tell me that you're going to take care of those and make all this thing work out, I'm okay with it. I mean, we've been talking trash for the last 6 or 10 months, however long it's been, and it comes to a point where, my gosh, we've got to move forward. So I have every faith in the world on the folks who were there. I have never flip-flopped on a vote. I was with them from the very beginning because I just saw the system wasn't broken, you know. And I think some people come up here and try to muddy the waters, and I don't think that's fair. I think some information came out that just was not correct on one side. But anyway, I'm going to stay with my second, and I have every faith in the world in these folks, and I'm going to hold you guys, and we are, as a council, going to hold you guys accountable if you get the vote to go through. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Marty?
I'm for moving forward. I think I think staff has done due diligence, and I think we need to. I think we need to put it to a vote.
Rodney, don't beat around the bush now.
This has tore me up. I haven't been able to sleep for days on this thing. I'm kind of like Charlotte, where I went through, I've seen more than most everybody else up here, and I've gone through it forwards, backwards, everything. My choice is Republic. They hands down beat them. It wasn't even close. There was nothing close about it. But the problem I do have is I do have a problem, and people from my district are calling me up and saying that I would like to do the 6-month extension. And I would like to get these fines taken care of before we agree to a contract with them. I think you guys are the winner of that contract, but I want to make sure that every single person gets paid back what they're due, and then we start with a clean slate at that, and we have a little bit of power. This is my opinion. I think we have a little bit of power to make sure that those things do get done at those times. Again, I looked at both proposals. They won. Republic won, and it wasn't close. It was not close. But I want to make sure that they get. So I'm not for this. I'm going to vote against this because I would like to wait a 6-month period. But there has been a motion made to accept this, so I'm telling you, I'm not going to vote for it.
Well, I've sat and watched this from the get-go as well. And both companies were given equal footing to give their very best proposal and to send us an RFP and to send us a contract price. Both companies did it. Republic gave us a very good price. Plus, they're paying for our landfill. There's many millions of dollars involved. TDS did not. Republic gave us the best price for pickup, a better price than TDS. We have had, as a contract and as a staff and as a city, we have had our hands tied since this thing began. We've been called names. There's been insinuations. There's been things said that should not have been said against us. And we can't even talk back. We can't even defend ourselves. So we've sat back and taken the hits, and we've taken the names, and we've taken the things that people have said, and we are not even able to say anything back. And personally, I'm getting tired of playing defense. I'm ready to play offense, and I'm ready to move forward on this.
Call for the vote. Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I had a question earlier during the presentation for Shane.
Your mic.
So sorry, I'll quit turning it off. I had a question earlier having to do with the landfill and the liability. Can you tell me, since I've only been on the council for several months, how the decision was made? Was that made with the council or by staff that all liability, past, present, and future, be associated with this new contract? Would you like to look at the RFP?
No, I've got what it said in the RFP as we move forward. It was through discussions with council, and of course, and I don't know that I actually specifically asked council, how do you want me to address liability issues in the RFP? But from a staff position, staff is generally tasked with reducing the city's liabilities where they can, and trying to limit those as best we can. So in the RFP, as we move forward, that was what we tried to do when we did it. RFP basically stated indemnify and hold city harmless for all past, present, and future liabilities regarding the premises is what was stated in the RFP. And again, that was our attempt to try to limit our exposure to the liabilities that we do have. And again, Republic is responsible for the liabilities that they've created, other than what we contractually obligated ourselves to in the past contract.
Was there any staff discussion about how that might eliminate other responders to the RFP?
There was not a general staff discussion, over how it would affect one vendor over the other. Again, like I said, in regards to Republic, they own the liability that they created, other than what we contractually obligated ourselves to in the last contract. Up to the point of where they are complete right now. They own that liability associated with that. Of course, closure liability city believes that we actually had the closure liability because we actually have been having to put the money aside and actually hold the money in place for those closure liabilities. So we fully believe that, that we own the closure liability, or the post-closure liabilities, post-closure liabilities. And again, in an effort to decrease our exposure to liability, that's how we stated it in the RFP.
Thank you.
Any further comments before we call for a vote on this?
I guess I do have one.
Yes, sir.
If we were to wait until the liability was done, would it change, or are we thinking about rebidding it, or?
No.
So it'll all stay the same, so.
That's
okay.
what I want.
All right.
I'm not going to say I like the way it was written, but I wasn't a part of that process, and I completely respect that. But I think it's the game changer here. And I don't, as I said, I don't know that the public realizes that, because that then impacts cost of service going forward. But again, those decisions were made, months and months ago.
And everybody knew those rules. Everybody had the same set of rules. And one company stuck to the rules, the other company did not.
I'm going to call for the vote. The motion has been made that we accept Republic and give them the exclusive contract with the City of San Angelo and the agreement for the landfill lease and operation. And there is an addition to the motion. Would you give me the exact wording on that, please, ma'am?
I put subject to staff making the necessary corrections and then grease trap definition.
That'll take care of you haulers. The motion has been made that we accept this and that it has been seconded. I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor, please. Let's see a show of hands. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? I didn't see you, Marty.
Oh, I voted for it.
You voted for it? All in favor, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed, raise your hands. 1,
And
2,
we did
3.
let you three guys out pretty easy.
Motion passes.